Babe, you're not ordering anything? She asked, looking up from her $100 Wagyu steak. No, I said, forcing a smile. I'm not very hungry. She had no idea I'd already seen the texts. She also had no idea that I wasn't just paying for dinner. I was leaving. It all started on a lazy Tuesday afternoon. One of those rare days off where my only plan was to melt into the couch and do absolutely nothing. My girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, was asleep on the other end of the sofa. Dead to the world. Her phone was on the coffee table between us when it buzzed. Then it buzzed again. I didn't think anything of it. Until the screen lit up with a preview from a guy named Mark. The message read, "You're not gonna believe what happened at work today, lol. Can't wait for this weekend." My first thought wasn't suspicion. It was confusion. Who the hell is Mark? I know. I shouldn't have done it. But my gut was screaming at me. I picked up her phone. Her thumbprint was still saved from when I helped her set it up. So I just pressed my own thumb to the sensor and it unlocked. My stomach dropped to the floor. It wasn't just one text. It was weeks of them. I scrolled, my hands starting to shake. There were pictures I won't describe. Plans they had made on weekends. She told me she was visiting her sister. And a whole lot of shit-talking about me. The one that really twisted the knife was a comment about my job. My soldier boy will be in the field all next week. So the coast is clear. Soldier boy. She was mocking the very thing I was proud of. The reason I was living on a base hours away from everything I knew. My brain tried to process it all at once. What do? My first impulse was to throw the phone against the wall. Wake her up. And just start screaming. Let everything out. I wanted to see her face when she realized she was caught. But then another thought cut through the rage. A messy, tear-filled confrontation would just give her a platform. She'd cry. She'd deny. She'd probably try to turn it around on me for going through her phone. It would be a shit show. And honestly, she didn't deserve that satisfaction. As I was standing there, trying to breathe, my eyes landed on a magazine on our table. It was open to an article about the best restaurants in North Carolina. And there it was. That absurdly expensive steakhouse in Chapel Hill she'd been whining about for months. The one she'd send me Instagram posts of, with captions like OMG. We have to go here. And I'd die for the steak. I always told her it was too much. A place for anniversaries or something really special. And right then, a new plan started to form. A cold, quiet, and much more satisfying plan. I put her phone back on the coffee table. Exactly where it was. Screen down. I took a few deep breaths to get my face under control. Smoothed the rage into a blank mask. And then forced a smile. I walked over and gently shook her shoulder. Hey, I said, my voice sounding disgustingly normal. Wake up, sleepyhead. She blinked her eyes open, looking up at me. What's up? Get dressed. I told her, my smile feeling like it was carved out of wood. Put on that new dress you bought. The really nice one. We're going out. I've got a surprise for you. Her eyes lit up instantly. Oh my God. Really? Where are we going? You'll see. I said. Just be ready in an hour. She had no idea that our special occasion was going to be our last supper. So, Reddit. Here's my question for now. A for deciding to go this route instead of just confronting her and breaking up with her right then and there. The drive to Chapel Hill was the longest 2.5 hours of my life. She was buzzing, practically vibrating with excitement in the passenger seat, talking a mile a minute about her work, her friends, and our future. She spent a solid 20 minutes mapping out a hypothetical vacation to the coast we could take in the fall. I just gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white, and nodded along. My brain had split into two parts. One was making the appropriate, yeah, that sounds great, and we'll look into it noises. The other was a looping replay of the words soldier boy set to the beat of my own damn heart. Every time she laughed, I felt a fresh wave of ice wash through my veins. When we finally got to the steakhouse, it was exactly as obnoxious as I'd imagined. Dark wood, waiters in starched vests, and the quiet clinking of silverware that costs more than my entire kitchen set. I played the part, though. I held the door for her, pulled out her chair, and smiled at her like she was the only person in the room. The waiter came over, and her eyes went wide looking at the menu. Oh my God. Everything is so expensive, she whispered, feigning concern. Don't even look at the prices, I said, leaning in. Seriously, tonight is on me. Get whatever you want. You deserve it. That last part almost made me choke, but I got it out. Her face lit up. And man, did she take me at my word? She started with the lobster bisque and the jumbo shrimp cocktail. For the main course, she didn't even hesitate. I'll have the Wagyu. Medium rare, she told the waiter. Then she turned to me. Babe, can I get a glass of that Cabernet? The really good one. I just nodded and ordered a simple sirloin and a glass of water for myself. She added on 2 more cocktails over the course of the meal. I sat there, cutting my steak, and just watched her. I watched her take pictures of her food for Instagram. I listened to her complain about a minor issue at her job. The whole time, I was a million miles away. My mind just a cold, calculating machine running through the final steps of the plan. This is what it's like, I thought. This is what it's like to sit across from a complete stranger who you thought you knew. She looked at me, smiled, and said, You're being really quiet tonight. Everything okay? Never better, I said, raising my water glass, just enjoying the moment. Finally, the plates were cleared. I waved off the dessert menu, saying I was stuffed. The waiter brought the check in a little leather-bound folder. I opened it. The total at the bottom was a beautiful, terrible number. 389.00. I looked at it. Then looked at her. I gave her the most genuine-looking smile I could manage. Wow, I said with a little chuckle. You really went for it. I folded the check, put it back on the table, and started to slide out of the booth. I'll be right back. Just heading to the restroom? She nodded, already scrolling through her phone. Probably texting Mark for all I know. I walked towards the back of the restaurant. But instead of turning into the men's room, I kept walking. I saw our waiter by the kitchen entrance. I'd already palmed a $50 bill in my pocket. I walked up to him, keeping my voice low. Hey man. Great service tonight. This is for you, I said, pressing the folded bill into his hand. Just a heads up. My girlfriend at that table will be taking care of the check. He gave me a split-second look of confusion. But before he could process it, I clapped him on the shoulder, turned, and walked straight out the front door into the cool night air. I didn't look back once. So, read it. The plan was in motion. Was slipping the waiter a tip and telling him she was paying going too far? Or was it a necessary part of the operation? The drive back to FT Bragg was the exact opposite of the drive there. The cab of my truck was dark and silent, save for the low hum of the engine on the highway. I didn't even turn on the radio. For the first time in what felt like forever, my head was completely clear. There was no anxiety, no suspicion, just the quiet, satisfying feeling of a mission accomplished. It took about 15 minutes. Right on schedule. My phone, sitting in the center console, suddenly lit up the entire cab. The screen flashed with her name and a picture I suddenly hated. It vibrated violently against the plastic. I just glanced at it and let it ring until it went to voicemail. A second later, it started again. And again. And again. A string of texts started pouring in. The notification previews a chaotic mix of question marks and furious, misspelled words. Where are you? This isn't funny, answer me. They're going to call the cops. I let the first 6 calls go to voicemail. I wanted her to sit there. I wanted her to feel that hot, sinking panic of being completely stranded, with a bill she couldn't pay, 2.5 hours away from anyone who could help her. I wanted her to have a few minutes to truly understand the consequences of her actions. My thought process was simple. Let her stew. Let the reality of the situation really sink in before I deliver the closing statement. On the 7th call, I finally picked up. I hit the speakerphone button and set the phone back down. The sound that came out of it wasn't even words at first. Just a shrill, hysterical shriek. Where the fuck are you? She screamed, her voice cracking. The manager is here, and they're saying I have to pay. They think I'm some kind of thief. You have to come back right now. I waited for her to run out of breath, listening to her panicked sobs. When there was a brief pause, I spoke. My own voice was so calm it was almost jarring. No, I don't think I will. What do you mean? What is wrong with you? You know, I said, keeping my tone even and conversational. I'm sure if you give Mark a call, he'd be more than happy to come cover the bill for you. He can pick you up, too. After all, what's a 2.5 hour drive for the guy you're fucking behind my back? The other end of the line went completely silent. It was a beautiful, deafening silence. I didn't need to hear her response. I didn't need denials or apologies. I had said what I needed to say. I reached over, ended the call, and immediately opened my contacts. I blocked her number. Then I went to every social media app and blocked her there. 2. Erased. Done. The whole process took less than 30 seconds. The rest of the drive was the most peaceful I'd had in years. I got back to the barracks, walked into my room, and it felt like my own space again. No ghosts. No lies hanging in the air. That night, I fell into bed and slept like a rock. No tossing and turning. No weird dreams. Just deep, uninterrupted sleep. It was the best I'd slept in months. Getting cheated on was one of the worst feelings in the world. But I dodged a massive bullet. I dumped her before I did something monumentally stupid like proposing. And I got a decent, if overpriced, steak out of the deal. So, Reddit. I lay the whole story at your feet. Ada for how I ended things.